Welcome back. This is the second week of Lent now, and I would like to consider another element. Last week we looked at the sins that are in our life, the temptations, and how those distort the person that I am, and that person is always a person in relationship with God. We also looked last week at the self-knowledge and the awareness that we have of ourselves in relation to God. So this week, I want to continue with that self-awareness because that is so critical to a spiritual life. To have an awareness of self, which means also to have an awareness of God and an awareness of all those things in our life that enhance or that distract or detract from being who I am. So today we want to look at prayer, certainly different from fasting in a sense, and also the sin that we see in our life. Prayer is that relationship with God. It is, many say, it is what makes us human. That every human created in God's image has the desire to pray. We say, well, atheists don't pray. Well, in many ways they do. Anyone who is searching for that transcendence of ourself, looking beyond ourselves, because we come to the point always that we realize we don't have the ability to do everything, and everyone comes to that awareness at one point or another. When one is ill, one realizes that they can't cure themselves in many ways. So prayer is essential. Now, all of us pray that are listening to this tape probably. We begin as children learning memorized prayers. Perhaps our parents or grandparents or in school, we learned to say the Our Father or the Hail Mary or other forms of prayer. Maybe we have a special prayer book or a series of prayers that we use in our life that can help us to direct our thoughts and our minds. The danger sometimes with prayer is that it becomes repetitive. And when that happens, I may be praying with my mind, with my lips, but not so much with my heart. As life grows and we become more aware of ourselves through not only the daily events, but we also realize that there's difficulties in life. We are all called to live the crosses of life, those things that are hurtful, maybe. But in that, we begin to find a deeper meaning, a depth in prayer. That God is no longer just the one who's watching over us, or not just the one who's looking out for our behavior, but that God is truly a Father. And that is the initial prayer that Jesus taught all of us, Our Father. I would like us this week to really just to focus on myself in relationship to God as our Father, my Father, our Father. What does it mean to have a Father? It means there's someone who's there, someone who sees me, someone who has created me, someone who's looking at me, and someone to whom I can go. The image in the scriptures of a father that is very powerful is the father who was waiting for the prodigal son, the son who ran off and lived his life in a way that was unbecoming to himself as a human person, but also offensive to his family. But when he returned, the father did not say a word. He did not criticize him. He did not judge him. He simply put his arms around him. He was there. And when that kind of a prayer can enter into our life, we have a true sense of security. But that security is the security of who I am, the self-knowledge. The self-knowledge of a human person is that I am loved. The problem today in our society, I believe, is people don't know that they are loved. They perhaps experience much rejection in their life. Some people may have experienced horrible things. But we do know that even times in our own life, we feel unloved by a person or in a certain situation. We feel that we have failed and that no one is there to help us. It's that feeling of being alone. And no human being should ever have to experience the drama of being alone. And prayer develops the sense of who I am, because I'm not a person who is alone, but a person who is loved, a person who is embraced, a person who finds mercy in God's arms. Over the last few years, I found two prayers that have really become important to me, because we can create some of these words, and we should, in our own life of just being able to speak with God, because prayer, as St. Teresa would say, is being with the one we know loves us. So being with, so not alone, the one, God, who created us, who loves us, that we are loved. Those three elements: not alone, created by, and loved. And so these two prayers for me have become very important, especially in the morning. One of them in the morning as I begin the day, but the other one kind of as I come home and kind of look at the different challenges of the day. So the first one is from a German priest. His name sounds very Italian. In fact, it is. His parents were Italian, but they lived in Germany during the war, the Second World War. But his name is Romano Guardini, a priest. And he wrote this prayer. It was his morning prayer. It's very simple, but this is what he says. He says, "Unceasingly I receive myself from your hands." So just simply recognizing quietly every morning that who he is from God. I receive myself from your hands. And this is important, what he says. This is my truth and my joy. I am who I am because I am from God. That's my identity. That's my existence. And it's my joy. When we can come to discover that, especially during this Lenten time, that to be loved by God is my joy. Unceasingly, your eyes rest upon mine. Many times in prayer, we think that we're reaching out to God. We're doing all the work. We're looking out. But in this fact, God is looking at me, eye to eye. Think of someone that you love very deeply. You don't look at their forehead, you look into their eyes. Unceasingly your eyes rest upon mine, and I live by your gaze. The gaze of God, the look of God into my eyes gives me life, gives me hope, gives me joy, and gives me peace. And then he addresses him, my Creator and my salvation. And finally he says, teach me. In other words, God is the source. I do have to ask, teach me in the silence of your presence to understand the mystery that I am. We're all a mystery. But that should not deter us. That should make us want more of God. Teach me in your presence to understand the mystery that I am, and the fact that I am through you, before you, and for you. I exist because of you. I exist in front of you and for you. So let me read that very quickly again. Unceasingly I receive myself from your hands. This is my truth, my joy. Unceasingly your eyes rest upon mine, and I live by your gaze, O my Creator and my salvation. Teach me in the silence of your presence to understand the mystery that I am, and also the fact that I am through you, before you, and for you. This prayer will be placed on our website for you to look at as well. And if I can repeat just one more, at the end of the day, Pope John Paul I, the simple Pope, I say this at the end of the day, stay close to me, Lord. Keep your hand on my head, but let me hold my head under your hand. Take me as I am, with my flaws, with my sins, but let me become as you desire and as I desire too. So I hope these prayers are helpful to you to also develop and embellish your own prayer life, to simply be with God and to be who you are in prayer. Thank you for listening this week. So we'll see you again next Sunday on the third Sunday of Lent.